For 12 years, I was an IT consultant. And then through my volunteer work with the American Legion, during that time, an opening came up at the state headquarters for a public relations director. And so I applied for that job, and that's what I do today. So as a publisher editor of the Michigan Legionnaire, it goes out to the 86,000 members of the American Legion in Michigan, but also the American Legion Auxiliary members and the Sons of the American Legion. And on average, 8 times a year, it hits 102,000 households. Coming out of the military, when I was done, I was done. I had no connection with any other veterans. But after a while, probably about 1999, 2000, 2001, I started to want to help veterans. And so I went looking and I found a Marine Corps League, which is a veteran service organization, and joined that. And then I started to learn about the veteran community more and all the services that they are provided once they get out. VA benefits, whether it be the hospital, the health care, or if they were hurt in the military, they get compensation and pensions. And I started learning a lot about that and wanting to help veterans. And so I first started with the Marine Corps League, but then after a while I started working on the legislative side of the American Legion. And as a consultant, I could determine what days a week I worked. So with the legislative chairman at the American Legion in Michigan, I started to travel to Lansing once or twice a month and help him with the legislative duties of talking to legislatures about veteran issues in Michigan. And that has led me to learn about, the VA benefits of Legion, of veterans, the services that the Legion and other organizations provide. For example, the American Legion employs several what we call veteran service officers, and they're accredited with the VA system, with the Veterans Affairs Administration. And what they do is many veterans will try to get VA benefits or health care, and they'll be denied initially because they may not have crossed a T or dotted an I. Well, our service officers for the American Legion and other organizations, they will cross the T's and dot the I's for the veteran. And then the paperwork is filled out properly, because when it gets to the VA, if it's filled out properly, it'll go faster. And then if there is a problem, the VA will tell the veteran, but because the American Legion may be their power of attorney, they'll let the American Legion know. That Legion officer can look at it, and if it's something simple, they can literally go from the 12th floor to the 13th floor to the VA and say, can we fix this? And get it fixed instead of something dragging out for years, have it fixed in a couple days. So the American Legion has been involved with helping veterans receive benefits since the 1920s. When the World War I veterans started coming home, there were several funds that helped veterans and their families while they were serving in World War I. Well, the American Legion went to the legislature and said, if you give us some of this money, we will provide service officers. So we've been doing it here in Michigan since 1920. And we're continuing to do it in partnership with the state of Michigan and their new Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency. And one of the things veterans don't understand is that the success rate of using an accredited veteran service officer when they do their claim is the difference between, if you use a service officer, you have a 70% chance of having your claim done right the first time, compared to a 70% chance of having it denied the first time because you did it on your own. So there are cases that last for years. Well, you can imagine if you do that case on your own, how long of a process that will be. Whereas if you use a accredited service officer, they can track that case and give you good information about where that case actually is within the VA system. And then if there is a problem, whether it's simple or not, the American Legion will stick with that veteran until that case has been gone through the appeal process, even if it takes going all the way to Washington, D.C. Because the American Legion on a national level has an office in Washington, D.C., and we will actually turn that case over to the Washington office if need be, and they will do the appeal right there in Washington with the VA Appeals Court.
Detroit Public Television is proud to honor veterans by sharing their stories of service.